right, Norwalk, Connecticut, but live shot, because we're live always. I want to bring in my good friend. He's the director of the Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy for the White House, for President Trump, and it's Peter Navarro. Pete, really good to have you. Right guy, right day. Big announcement came. We saw the announcement. Congratulations, you got a deal. Tell us, and just allow me this, market was anticipating it was up. Deal came out, market kind of took off, but then it backed off a little bit going into it. Tell us, are we going to see more deals? And is China happening this weekend?
Eric, it's so fascinating to me. It's like we have this beautiful deal for the day, and everybody wants to know kind of what's next, which is fine. But there's going to be plenty of deals. Trust in Trump. What's cool about this one, Eric, is not just because it's an interesting deal that gives us a template for what you're going to see with all these other countries. It comes on VE Day.
Right.
I mean, think about that.
Right.
80 years ago, it was the UK and the United States that liberated Europe from the Nazis. 80 years ago, we did that together as two countries.
Was that planned?
One.
Was this announcement planned? The victory in Europe Day, the victory in the European Union
but
Day.
The city, it's like this is Trump world. This is like what happens in Trump world. I mean, it's like it was time for doing it, and now it's VE Day. And what's important about it, I can go one small trade deal, one big step for the trade war against America, that kind of stuff. But what's interesting here is the way we're approaching this. And let me just say what you can read more broadly from this trade deal. What we have is Jamison Greer, the U.S. trade representative. He's got a couple hundred people working for him, working with Howard Lutnick, who's got maybe 1,000 people work for him. And on every day, we have countries from around the world coming in on an hourly basis, meeting with Greer and Lutnick. And we're looking at like 5 different verticals. Each country is like fingerprints. They cheat us in all different ways uniquely. And so it's the tariffs, it's the non-tariff barriers, it's the digital taxes, it's the counterfeiting, intellectual property theft, and these other things that go on. And so if you look at what happened today, the first thing that happened was we were able to tear down the technical barriers to trade walls, the phytosanitary barriers to trade. These are non-tariff barriers. What does that mean? It means before today, we couldn't really sell beef, poultry, dairy in any quantities, or ethanol to the Brits. Now we can. And it's $8 billion, which is a lot of money when you're talking about our heartland, Iowa, Kansas, Wisconsin for the dairy. And it's going to be a really good thing. With respect to the steel and aluminum issue, we're going to work closely with Great Britain to allow them into our markets under very controlled conditions, which will benefit them, but which, as the two countries, will help us protect ourselves from the rest of the world. So that's a big deal as well. We're going to have better procurements processes. We're going to fast track all these regulatory issues we have with them. And bury the lead, they're going to buy Boeing jets. Mm-hmm. And as you know, Boeing's been under attack. And we're going to make sure that our national champion, Boeing, is going to be able to sell its products, not just here, U.S., but worldwide.
Pete,
it's heavily dependent on that market.
I want to qualify this with you. You and I have known each other a very long time. And I was 15 years on Wall Street prior to this. I'm not a huge fan of trade barriers. I don't like tariffs. I don't like anything. So I'm out there. I'm thrilled that we're going to bring down bilaterally with country to country tariffs going both directions. I want to hear, I love this. That's why I asked you about China. China's the big kahuna, right? That's the one that will really make the markets move. And I'm all for it if we can get them to reduce the barriers. Will we get that? And again, it's Trump has said, I believe he said this weekend, is it still happening?
Yeah. You're a Wall Street guy, so you know what the quiet period is. We're in a quiet period now with respect to that because look, Scott Bessent and Jameson Greer, the Treasury Secretary of the USTR, are going to go over and have those conversations. And it's not for me to get in the way of that at all. So let's be patient with that process. But I'd push back a little bit on you that this whole trade thing is hinging around China when it's not. I mean, we've got effectively 15 countries, Eric, that really are taking us to the cleaners. The EU has a very big trade surplus with us, and they run the gamut. You know, they got you run them down. Germany, we try to sell a car there. It's a 10% tariff. We charge them 2.5%. Plus, they got their VAT tax, which acts as both a tariff on us and an export subsidy for them. We try to sell them beef or pork or chicken, and they've got, like the UK does, these phytosanitary barriers so that they can say, "Ooh, that stuff's not healthy, we're keeping it out," when all it's really doing is protecting their own farmers. And so Europe's really important. Vietnam has become a transshipment hub for China. They sell us $15 of stuff for every one we sell them. We've got to kind of deal with that. India is the Maharaja of tariffs. Japan is, I mean, to talk about the art of the non-tariff barrier, they've got that one down. And I can go on down the list of countries, and it's going to be really important. Remember, the trade deficit, which is the root cause of this emergency, is over $1 trillion, which means we're exporting over $1 trillion of our assets every year. It's cumulatively now something like $18 trillion of American wealth has been transferred into foreign hands.
You know what my biggest problem, and I love this, and I have this discussion with Bannon every single opportunity I can. We talk to Bannon every day at the end of the show, and he knows that I'm on the. My biggest issue.
But let me say one thing, Eric. You got to get off this tariff thing. It's like it's not. The tariffs aren't the principal problem. Okay, we could go to a world of zero tariffs.
I agree
there was early discussion. That wouldn't help us at all. It's like non-tariff barriers is where, and the cheating. That's what we got to deal with. Go ahead.
My only issue was Lutnick came up with some, arbitrary number for tariffs for countries, and it was just kind of, as a Wall Street guy, pissed me off.
That's not an arbitrary number. Let me walk you through that. If you think about the problem we face, we have high trade deficits with different countries, but they're different size trade deficits across the countries. As I told you earlier, every country cheats us in a different way. And economic theory tells us you can't run chronic trade deficits with other countries. The market's supposed to adjust, and the only way they do that is by cheating. So when you simply look at the deficit we run with each country as the sum of all their cheating, it's very easy to use the tools of economics, simple concepts like elasticities of supply and demand, and come up with the number. Those numbers represent one thing, Eric. They represent what the tariff would have to be to take the trade deficit down to zero. That's not arbitrary at all. That's precise, and it's based on underlying data.
Pete, you and I, the numbers were our trade deficit with the country divided into their total export into the country, and that it was for every. It was sold one way here, and I tell Bannon this: if what the goal of this tariff war is, or whatever you want to call it, is to get them to lower, then great, then perfect. You call it whatever. Call it Red Bull for all I care, right? As long as that's the goal. It just felt like it evolved into, they've been screwing us, so we're going to screw them back around, which it didn't. But
you bought into, you bought into the spin. They like, what they do, first thing they do is attack us on how the number was calculated, and people bought into that. And what I'm telling you here, I just walked you through it, it's not. It's a very precise calculation of a number designed to eliminate our trade deficit with a given country. And the numbers for Vietnam are higher, for example, than the numbers for Argentina, right? Because we have this enormous trade deficit with Vietnam, and it's less for other countries. So that's where those numbers come
giving
from.
You
so don't get sucked into that.
You got to win. I'm going to hold my breath over the weekend as watching my account as well. We got to let you go, but brother, I would love to get you back. You are the right person to be talking with me about this because I want to talk to you a little bit more. A lot more about it, so we'll get you back whenever we possibly can. And congratulations on the win.
I gotta get some of that suntan going and one of those T-shirts back on because this sucks.
I'll send you my Steve Bannon is my spirit animal T-shirt. I've been giving around. Peter Navarro.
Good luck
folks.
to your show, man.
Thank you.
Watch
very much.
RAV, man. I'm a fan.
Thank you very much. All right, Pete.
Best of the six.
Go crush it. Go crush it.